It seems crazy, but in today's episode, I will show why a game featuring a pumpkin man riding a penguin has admirable elements. This absurdity from Savage Halloween retained my interest and maintained its distinct themes while deviating from normalcy. With so many games being constantly published, it's more important than ever to make a game stand out. Soon, you will see how Savage Halloween does exactly that. My name is Joseph Baroud, this is Zeal, and welcome to Gaming Keystones, where I discuss overarching topics in gaming and how some games leverage them to stand out from the rest. Today, we will be discussing theming. When I talk about theming, I mean the way developers create distinct and memorable settings to explore. While in many cases, it can be easier to establish a prevalent theme narratively, it is also crucial to understand that a theme can be developed by nearly anything. It can be the gameplay mechanics, the art direction, the enemy design, or even the amount of time needed to complete a level. Solid gameplay-focused theming sticks with me the most after I've completed a game. So in this video, I'm going to focus on how well-made location and enemy designs help make games stand out and maintain their player base. The first game I'm going to discuss is Cathedral. This game is a Metroidvania, so I was sent throughout the world to collect items and take out enemies. While the plot itself did not play a substantial role, I was able to gather a lot about the game by exploring in each area. Every location I traversed had a different feel. I went through dark castles, lush woodlands, and even snowy mountains. Though this did not develop much of a significant plotline, the diversity of areas to travel through added depth in the gameplay, made exploration more exciting, and kept me interested in the world. Still, there were some areas that featured enemies to shed insight on the story. For example, one of the locations in the game, Tinkerton, is a hidden village atop a mountain near a dangerous mine. This is already an interesting premise, but the theming truly stood out in the nearby enemy design. There are enemies that look like the non-playable characters who reside in Tinkerton both in the mine and on the mountain. Many story elements prove that the ghosts in the mineshaft are lost miners, so the similar enemy appearance between the townspeople and the ghost adds validity to this statement. Moreover, there are enemies in the mountains who also look like these creatures, which adds additional depth to the lore, implying that these creatures are also dead humans. Consistent visual style and theming adds to Cathedral by making these locations memorable and making the different areas connect with one another. Interconnected theming is not only relevant in Cathedral though. Regardless of the game, the title feels more connected when the assets match. Any game is immediately more digestible when the included elements complement each other. When too many things stand out from the theme, either they all catch my attention or none of them do. Thus, it always seems like a good thing to make the in-game assets as similar as possible, right? Unfortunately, that is not always the case. Following the theme without constantly introducing new concepts makes for underwhelming experiences. This means that improvising is good, and that makes sense. It's easy for something that keeps changing to maintain my attention. However, the significance of this is more blatant when the variety is missing. Super Hyperactive Ninja is an action platforming title that had me traversing different towers where my allies are held captive. However, many of these areas did not feel distinct enough. For example, the main enemies are ninjas. Whether they shot projectiles, stood still, or moved, they were still ninjas. Even though they had mildly different purposes, introducing new variations on a standard enemy hardly feels like a new enemy. Super Hyperactive Ninja is littered with these adjusted enemies. It made the game stagnate far more quickly than I would have liked. While having cohesive enemy designs is not a bad thing, the lack of unique enemies made this game feel stale. Moreover, the lackluster backgrounds took a toll on me as well. Instead of traversing the vast landscape showcased in many other titles, I explored basic castles. Regardless of which castle I chose, the background, enemies, and hazards were still extremely similar. Sure, some backgrounds would change colors, but none of the backgrounds revolutionized my experience. I want to remember each of the locations in the game. I want to play a game where the locations are significant, and I feel excited to explore each one, even if there are simple visuals. The lack of scenic theming was even more prevalent because often, a level's hazard seemed out of place. Castles were on fire and submerged in water regardless of the theme. Plus, even when there were distinct themes, they did not differentiate themselves enough. A stage is not a ghost house just because the stage features ghostly enemies and orbs. The stage needs to feel eerie and uphold a different theme than the other levels. In this game, the stage design elements are practically the same in every level. The lack of distinct and interesting themes in Super Hyperactive Ninja left me disappointed. A game's theme needs to incorporate innovative level design and enemy design. Comparing Super Hyperactive Ninja to Shovel Knight Spectre of Hope further accentuates the differences between having strong themes and lacking them. For example, The Ghost House in Shovel Knight Spectre of Hope features various distinct enemies that are not only exclusive to that stage, but fluctuate throughout the stage as well. There are multiple types of skeletons, hidden areas, secret platforms, and even zombies that rise from their tombs. The continued implementation of new elements kept me engaged and excited to see what would come next. This was further compounded by how distinct each of the locales were. Despite Spectre Knight's grim appearance, he travels all around, from lively airships to underground lava caverns. In each, I encountered different obstacles, so each new location felt distinct. Sure, they are visually different, but more importantly, the enemies entrapped worked together to establish a distinct setting. Games feel more fun to play when their assets match to create themes and when they continue adding new ones before they get old. While the previous examples are quite traditional, Savage Halloween retains a cohesive theme and features zany items like explosive rubber chickens, circus monkeys, and much more. There are some normal locations featured in this title, like the forest or Nightshade Tundra, yet Savage Halloween does not shy away from strange Halloween-themed areas. While this may seem off-putting, the unusual enemy and weaponry designs made the game unique and retained my interest. At the same time, both types of theming were cohesive. Each aspect had a purpose, stood out, and fit in with its surroundings. Plus, the game segued from each area without breaking my immersion. The game reinforces this creativity by including the theming in the moveset. Innately, this moveset is like that of a traditional run-and-gun shooter. There are shots that spread like a shotgun, explosives, and a standard machine gun shot. However, Savage Halloween implements these more standard weapons into the game's theming by having the shotgun shoot bats, including an explosive rubber chicken, and even adding a unique weapon that shoots ghost bullets. The theming of the title, though it does not strongly impact the game, helps convey the abnormality of the title, keeps the title cohesive all throughout, and makes Savage Halloween stand out from other titles on the market. In the same vein, it is not enough for a game just to follow a theme. Staxel is a farming simulation game with too many generic aspects. When I play a game, I want to be excited by the distinct personality of the world. In Staxel, many of the creatures are not unique. Most are grasshoppers, butterflies, or basic fish. They disappointed me. When I explore, I don't want to find a red cricket. I want to find something that fits the theme of an area I'm in. This was also a problem. There were not enough distinct areas. Even if there were a few locations around the map, nothing changed. The same creatures could be caught throughout the world. Even within an area, there was little synergy between the creatures. The explorable world did not feel real because nothing would interact with anything else, and the distinction between the different locations was non-existent. These factors contributed heavily to Staxel's disappointing theme. However, this lack of theming was even more obvious when I went through portals to other worlds. These areas add special bugs and fish, but they are even more underdeveloped. Here, I participated in the same activities I would have done on the main island, but instead caught different creatures. This did not give these areas new themes, and since the gameplay loop was unchanged, they ended up feeling lackluster. Changing the scenery does not make the same activities more fun. Instead, it just led to repetitive gameplay that bored me. Bland world-building elements that do not have depth will not create a believable setting, and thus fail to create a new theme. To make a game immersive, each area should feel special, with elements that alter both the visuals and gameplay. Theming plays a more significant role in gaming than it may initially appear to. It is hard to quantify the impact it has on someone, but games that have better theming are easier for me to get immersed in, even when the theming is done without words or extensive text. What are some games you think feature excellent theming? And how do the elements in the title work together to create the overall feel of the game? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.